Alrighty, welcome to this video where we're going to talk about using Autocrat to basically send observations to the people that have been observed automatically once the Google form is submitted. You can also use Autocrat for other automated processes. Think of it like a mail merge, and it can create certificates, it can create letters, and so much more. So the first step that you're going to do is once you have a new Google Sheet open, or if you just have Google Sheets opened, you're going to go here to where it says extensions and click on add-ons and get add-ons. Now mine is installed currently, so and I didn't want to uninstall it because I have way too many jobs installed. But here it says search apps. You're just going to type in Autocrat, just like that. Where you find this with the yellow logo here, you're going to click on it. And this button should say install. Go ahead and click on that blue button, install it. And then once it's fully installed, make sure that it shows up here in extensions and Autocrat. If it doesn't, go ahead and just refresh that page and it should pop up. Okay, our next video is going to talk about how to create the template that we're going to use to send out to teachers once the Google form is submitted. For this next section, we're going to talk about creating a template and using the template so that it syncs up with what you have in your Google form. You can create a template in Google Docs or in Google Slides. Either one will work. In this example, and the template that has been provided to you, it's a Google Doc. So we're going to look at a few of these things because it is important to look at it as you're creating it. Now, it is best practice to have your Google form already ready to go because these columns up here in row one, these are going to be what are known the tags that we need to use for Autocrat. So what we're going to do is really quick look into this template template right here, and you'll see it's just a simple document. What's going to happen is you can decorate it however you want, maybe give it the school logos or the district logos, etc. You can name it, you can highlight it just like any other document. What you're going to notice is there are certain words that are just here in bold, and there are certain words that have what are called the tags. It's the beginning and after specific wording. Now, how this template works is this template is for Starfleet Academy. You notice that in our Google Sheets, we had multiple different campuses down here. So you would have to create one for each campus, or if you have one general um, template that can work for everyone, that's okay too. Now, that's only going to be um, working if you have specific information in your Google Sheet. So, for example, here in this Google Sheet, nowhere in any of the columns up here in row one do we have the campus name. So that's why we have to add that here because it's related to the campus name. Another way to get around this is, of course, when you're doing your Google form, if you want to add a list of your campuses, you can. And then that now becomes of this as tag, and then we're going to say campus. And that means when Autocrat is creating this document, it's going to read, okay, what's the campus in whatever column it's located. So I'm going to bring this back to Starfleet Academy. As you can see here, date, the date tag will match whatever's in the C column here. Okay. Walkthrough completed by, we're tagging it here as the observer name. So that's going to be whatever is in the D column. Okay. The teacher's name, this is why it's important to have spell check and to make sure your teacher's names are correct, because that's going to match it from the I column in this example. Department, again, this will matter if you call it department or maybe the subject or topic is being observed at the time. This can be changed. Class period and time of observation. That also is captured here in F and G. And then down here, basically, this is just another table, okay? Two columns. You'll see that the main title of the questions are up here. They're on this column right here. And the tag, now you can do this a couple ways. The tag is just to let you know what are you tagging this data to. For example, the HS model classroom expectations is tagged as HS model classroom for Autocrat. So it knows what to pull. So for example, and we'll show this in a little bit in the Starfleet Academy demo, you'll notice that for this one, let's say this is the answer here, that will actually show up here instead of the tag. So once you create all your different tags and you make sure you have them all, now you can have this template ready to go for AutoCAD. Keep in mind, this template is just that, a template to get you started. Do you have to have all this information up here? Not necessarily. Maybe you want more information. Maybe you want more details. That is all going to depend on what information you are gathering from your Google form. So keep that in mind. This template is basically gathering information from what comes from the Google form. So what we're going to do next in the next section of this video is we're going to go step by step on creating an AutoCAD job. So make sure now take the time to create a new document, or if you want to use the template, go ahead and remix it to what you want to use, and then we can go on from there. Right. Now comes the part where it can be a little bit time consuming, especially if you're doing multiple campuses, but it also depends on how you assembled your Google form and how it captures data. In this example, we're going to keep it pretty simple, just focus on one campus, Starfleet Academy, and how that's going to look like. Now, I do recommend before moving forward, now that you have your Google form, you have your Google Sheet, you have now the template for the AutoCAD, is try to keep things organized in your Google Drive. Because what's going to happen is when you start creating these PDFs that are going to be sent out via email and or shared, they are going to be stored in a specific location that AutoCAD is going to ask you about. So in Google Drive, just go in, create a new folder, and that's where it'll be. So for example, here, I created one called Autocrat Completed. This is where all the created PDFs are going to be stored. Keep in mind a little tip that's very important. Autocrat will work from a Google Drive that is not a shared drive. So if you're going to be creating these, make sure they're on your drive or whoever's drive it is. Do not put it into a shared drive because it will not work. So, with that little intro and disclaimer out of the way, let's get started. We're going to start here in the Google Sheet that we are going to capture the information for. We're going to click on Extensions, click on AutoCAD, and click on Open. It may take a little bit, just give it time. So, I already had one created. I'm going to actually delete this one. We're going to start from fresh. What we're going to do is click on New Job, give it a name. So for example, here, we're just going to call it Starfleet Academy. It does help to know the name of it. I have had one where I had the name of the campus and it was a teacher only one. And then the name of the same campus, but it was an administrator one only because the information shared was different. So I had to create two different jobs. Next, you're going to click on Next. Here it's going to ask you where do you want to choose. I'm sorry, this is going to ask you what template we're going to use. So that template that we talked about in the last section, we're going to use that. So we're going to click on From Drive. That's been created. It will be in your recent. Click on there, and you may have to click down to select, or you have the option to create one here. Since we've already created one and you have one handy, let's go ahead and click on Next. Now, here's where we talked about tags. Tagging is very important. What we want to make sure is, are we in the correct tab? And yes, we want to run Autocrat on the Starfleet Academy one. And as you can see, it tried to map most of the tags from the template to the columns associated in the Google form. Most of them match. I would highly recommend that you do go through it to make sure it does match correctly. Now here it says, wait a minute, this HS model classroom isn't tagged to anything. So when you click on here, you'll see actually the names of the columns, the headings right here. So you will know that this is for this one. So now it's going to be tagged there. Instructional practices, that's going to come here. And then check for understanding, that will be here. Academic discourse, that will come from this question here. The other ones, it did find them because they matched identically to the heading. So you can put the entire heading in the tag, or you can shorten it to something simpler to find, just like what we did here. What we're going to do now is click on next. Now we're going to give it a name, okay? So think about logistically, what is this going to look like? Well, this is a walkthrough observational form. Okay, so we are going to say walkthrough observation for, well, this is where it's important. It's like, who are we giving this to? Who are we sending this to? And this is where we can use, for example, the teachers' names. Now, I recommend using the sidebar here, the little blue bar, to make sure you type the tag correctly. What's going to happen is we know that there's a tag for the teacher's name. So we see it right here. We're going to click on it. It's made a copy of it. And then we're going to paste it. Make sure you put a space between the word and the tag because you want it to look correctly. If you don't have a space, it's just going to say for and then the teacher's name. There's no space in between. So walk through observation for teacher's name. I usually add the date of the observation. So I may make add a symbol of some sort and then click on date. And then I'm going to paste it. So now what that's going to look like when it creates this PDF, it's going to give it that name. Now, I keep mentioning PDF because it is recommended to use a PDF for this type of document. Now, what you want to do here is just leave it as output as multiple outputs, which is fine. And we're going to go on to the next portion, and number 5. Now here it's asking me choose destination folders. This is where the PDFs are going to be stored. So what we're going to do, I'm going to remove a folder that it detected. This is where the current spreadsheet is at. So I'm going to delete that. Yes. And then choose a folder. And remember, we called it Autocrat completed. So I'm going to select it. Now all the PDFs are going to be stored in there. Next, add dynamic folder reference. This you're not really going to use unless it matches a column in your spreadsheet. So we're just going to skip that. Number 7, this one's pretty neat and it's a little bit more complex. I'm just going to tell you really quick about it. So for example, let's say you had like a yes or no or specific type of answered in one of these columns. So what this does is if that condition is met, so let's say that only run the conditions where James T. Kirk is here, it will run only those PDFs. So it matches the condition. So for example, here, if the column, let's say here, the teacher's name is equal to, and it has to be exactly like how it is in Google form here. So when it equals this, it's going to run Autocrat and create that PDF. Okay. So something to keep in mind for the future. In this case, we're making it run for everything. So we want it to make sure it runs correctly. Click on next. Now, share docs and send emails. This is going to be completely up to you. Do you want this PDF to be sent automatically once that Google form is submitted? If you do, you would click yes. If not, it's just going to be stored in that Google Drive folder that we selected earlier. So for today, we're going to click on yes. We want to share it as a PDF. Allow collaborators to reshare. This is going to be completely up to you. I usually go with a no. Send from a generic no reply address. Now, again, this is optional and it's going to be up to you. So the creator of this job, okay, so in this example, I'm the creator. If I click on no, this is going to send it from my email. Okay, so the teacher's going to say, hey, Roberto Sirocco sent you this. Okay, if you want it to send from a generic no reply, you would click on yes. And what that means is, okay, that It's just sending it from a no reply. So the teacher can't reply to the email. Now, more than likely, the teacher will know to contact the actual observer if they have any more questions. Now, here's where it gets a little bit complex, just a little bit, to make sure that you put the right tag and so forth. Now, remember when we captured the teacher's emails address, this is why we're doing this. Now we're going to go here to the sidebar, look for the teacher's email address. So we want to send that to the teacher. They're going to get their observational form when it's completed. You can CC or BCC someone else if and what happens there is, they'll get the email too. So if it's, let's say for example, someone in the district or someone in the campus needs to have these observations as well, you would put their email there. If the observer needs to have a copy of this, so let's say I'm the creator of this job, but I want to make sure that the observers in my team also get a copy of this. So what you would do here is, this is where the observer email column comes into play in E. We would click here and select observer email. And let's say that it CCs that person. Okay. Now, type in the subject. Could be as simple as walkthrough observation form. And here, the message, you can write your own message. Again, you can add any of the tags here to go along with that, maybe putting the date, who observed it, and so forth. So what we're going to do now is click on next. And we're at the end of the Autocrat. So what's going to happen now is two things. Run on form trigger. What this means is when the observer is conducting a observation and they get to that very last question and it says submit, if this is on yes, that means Autocrat is going to automatically capture all that information, put it into the template, and send it via email. Now, if no, then you can run this manually, kind of like what we're going to be doing in the video later on, and run it at a later time. Now, here, run on time trigger, you have the option of running this at specific intervals of time. Okay. So for example, what this means is you can send this at specific, like 1 hour, 2 hours, and so forth. It will tell you this to run at a specific amount of time. This is going to be dependent and optional on how you want to handle this. Personally, I preferred when it was sent right away, so that way I didn't forget about it, or the administrators that have used it, they didn't forget about it. So this is completely an optional decision on your base. But I do recommend that you run it on form trigger. So we would click on yes. Okay. What we're going to do now, I'm going to click on yes, confirm. Currently, that Google form is not active, so it's not going to run. Then the last part is you're going to click on save. Now, once it does this, it's going to save it. I have two, even though I've already deleted one, but they are identical. Now, neat little thing is what you can do is you can run a preview ahead of time. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to give you time to set this up to make sure. And then on the next section of the video, I'm going to show you what it looks like once it's already run. Hi again. So for this last portion of the video, we're going to talk about um, how it looks like once it runs. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to run this manually right now so that you can see what Autocrat will do. Again, you can do a little preview, and the preview will show you how many rows are going to be merged. In this case, it says 100 because this has over 900 observations. So we're just going to run a couple first. Now, keep in mind, if we had selected run on trigger, that means once the Google form submits it, it will go through. I have seen some times where there is a hiccup that happens and it doesn't run correctly. So I would have to come back here and run manually the job. That's what this play button is for. Now, I want you to see in the spreadsheet, once the jobs are created and so forth, four new columns will pop up. And we're going to talk about this just as this is being created. So manually, all you have to do is hit the play button. And what's going to happen is Autocrat is going to start the sequence. As you can see, information has started, and it's going to say, hey, this has started on this day, and so forth. Then more information is going to pop up. So one of the documents has already been merged. And here, as the editor, I will be able to see that link. Now, you're going to see a couple things. Here, it's going to show you a preview of it, and this is going to show you exactly where this PDF is located. Now, remember when we talked about creating a folder to save all these PDFs? So that is right here. Now you're going to see that they're just going to start populating. And here you see how we named it walkthrough observations for who it was going to be for and the date of the observation. So these are being created in real time now because I ran it manually. Now these would be also created when you run it on a trigger. So what's going to happen is this is going to continue creating all of these PDFs. But what's really neat is we're going to open one of these. You'll see that it filled out the template with all the information from the Google form. It didn't take that long, so imagine how amazing this would be, especially if you have those teachers that want to know how their observations went. They'll have a clear document that shows this. This is great also for evaluations times. You can keep all the observations in one place. So for example, here, you'll see some of them started to pop up by their last name. So here, Lauren has more than one already, one on the third and one on the fifth. So you can also try to sort and filter this as well in Google Drive. But what's really neat is it's fast, it's instant, it's very organized. You can design this however you want. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to actually stop this, but it may actually keep on going since it's already started the job. And um, it's kept in that drive. So whoever is the editor, that's where it will be kept. As you can see, it's still going. So it's probably going to run all of these. We're not going to have the video run for the entirety. Now, what you can do is, let's say the teacher didn't get the email. You can quickly come here, search for that teacher's name and the date, and all you have to do is just right click on it and you can share it with that teacher. You can send a link or just share it by email. That's completely up to you. I hope this has been very helpful, and maybe this would be something that will work for your campus and or district. And if you have any questions, please just let me know. Thank you so much for watching.